Whether mistaken for a demon or god, many tales have been told of the Darkin blade, but few know his real name or the story of his fall. Aatrox was one of the first to be granted the gift of ascension at the end of his life. During this time he was loyal to the Shuriman Empire and had served it for all his life. He was noble and would not hesitate to help his fellow soldiers in battle. In ancient times, long before desert sands swallowed the empire, a mighty champion of Shurima was brought before the sun to become the avatar of a now forgotten celestial ideal. Remade as one of the ascended, his wings were golden light of dawn, and his armor sparkled like a constellation of hope from beyond the great veil. When he ascended, he was given a heightened role in the military. He participated in a battle against Icatia and helped drive back the void from the region around it. Aatrox was his name. He was at the vanguard of every noble conflict. So true and just was his conduct that other god warriors would always gather at his side, and 10,000 mortals of Shurima marched behind him. When Setaka, the ascended warrior queen, called for his help against the rebellion of Icatia, Aatrox answered without hesitation. But no one predicted the extent of the horrors that the rebels would unleash. The void quickly overwhelmed its Icatian masters and began the grinding annihilation of all life it encountered. After many years of desperate battle, Aatrox and his brethren finally halted the void's perverse advance and seared the largest rift shut. But the surviving ascended, the self-described Sunborn, had been forever changed by what they had encountered. Though Shurima had triumphed, they all had lost something in their victory, even noble Aatrox, and in time Shurima fell, as all empires must. Without any monarch to defend or the existential threat of the void to test them, Aatrox and the Sunborn began to clash with one another, and eventually this became a war for the ruins of their world. Mortals fleeing the conflict came to know them instead by a new scornful name, the Darkin. Fearing that this fallen ascended were as dangerous to Runeterra's survival as the void incursions had been, the Targonians intervened. It is said that the aspect of Twilight gave mortals the knowledge to trap the Darkin, and the newly reborn aspect of war united many in fighting back against them. Never fearing any foe, Aatrox and his armies were ready, and he realized only too late that they had been deceived. A force greater than 1,000 dead suns pulled him inside the sword he had carried into battle countless times, and forever bound his immortal essence into it. The weapon was a prison, sealing his consciousness in suffocating eternal darkness, robbing him even of the ability to die. For centuries he strained against this hellish confinement, until some nameless mortal was foolish enough to try and wield the blade once more. Aatrox seized upon this opportunity, forcing his will and an imitation of his original form onto his bearer, though the process quickly drained the life from the new body. In the years that followed, Aatrox groomed many more hosts, men and women of exceptional vitality or fortitude. Though his grasp of such magics had been limited in life, he learned to take control of a mortal in the span of a single breath, and in battle he discovered he could feast on his victims to build himself ever larger and stronger. Aatrox traveled the land, searching desperately, endlessly, for a way return to his previous ascended form, but the riddle of the blade proved unsolvable, and in time he realized he would never be free of it. The flesh he stole and crudely shaped began to feel like a mockery of his former glory, a cage only slightly larger than the sword. Despair and loathing grew in his heart. The heavenly powers that Aatrox had once embodied had been wiped from the world and all memory. Racing against this injustice, he arrived at a solution that he could only be born of a prisoner's desperation. If he could not destroy the blade or free himself, then he would embrace oblivion instead. Now Aatrox marches toward this merciless goal, bringing war and death wherever he goes. He clings to a blind hope. If he can drive all of creation into a final, apocalyptic battle where everything else is destroyed, then maybe he and the blade will also cease to exist. Aatrox continues to wreak havoc across Runeterra, taking over hosts and killing all that he sees, with his ultimate goal being to take revenge on the aspects and reach oblivion in death. Aatrox has deep hatred towards Targon, especially towards the aspect of war, who united many mortals to fight against Aatrox. During the ensuing battle, Aatrox was pulled into his own sword and his consciousness was bound to it and trapped within it. Aatrox eventually battled the aspect in his weapon form while trying to reach the top of Mount Targon. He killed the aspect and he left his host, Atreus, to die. Atreus survived and would later battle Aatrox and win. Aatrox hates Atreus and considers him a fool. The aspect of Twilight is the one primarily responsible for the Darkin's defeat in the Darkin Wars, and their subsequent imprisonment, as the aspect showed humans how to trap the Darkin within their own weapons. Because of this, Aatrox hates the aspect and wants to kill it and all its hosts. Leona regards Aatrox with disdain, as he has no care for the lives of those under his command. Aatrox's hatred for the aspects likely extends to Leona as the aspect of the sun. Aatrox was responsible for decimating most of Tryndamere's tribe and sees him as an ideal host, while Tryndamere regards Aatrox with animosity. The man whose body was stolen by Aatrox is unknown, as we now know that after a Darkin chooses a living body as a host, the battle for control over the body starts. If the human wins, the Darkin eventually dies, but Aatrox wins this battle and he gained full control over the body. His age is between 4,396 and 5,996 years old, being among the first Shuriman ascended, and we have no information regarding the animal form Aatrox took after ascension, but we know he had wings. It's possible Ilawe's god could free or kill Aatrox's human soul and allow that soul to return to the cosmos, but it's complicated because the celestial concept Aatrox merged with and gained his ascended power from has been trapped or deleted. Literally, the ideal he represented ceased to exist when he was trapped. Humans no longer could even have the thought of what he was the avatar of. Aatrox has spent the most time imprisoned, and, since his was the first, it was also an imperfected one that likely damaged him in the process. By the time the mages had imprisoned Varus, they perfected the process a little more. Aatrox seems to have been living in the north of Valoran, including the Freljord. Demon Blade Tryndamere may be representative of what if Aatrox changed host and succeeded to make Tryndamere his new one.